Welcome to the Pittsburgh Dish. I'm your host, Doug Heilman. How does family nostalgia, a quarter-life crisis, and a big break with a billionaire help to shape a now sought-after private chef business? This week, we get the full story from Chef Ken. All that ahead. Stay tuned. Well, thank you so much for coming over and for being on the show.
Yeah, you're welcome. It's a pleasure to be here.
Would you introduce yourself to our listeners and what you have going on in the world of food?
Yeah. My name is Ken, or Kenny, as my friends call me. I go by Chef Ken. I am a private chef here in Pittsburgh. I do private events. I do intimate dinners. I do regular meal prep for a lot of my clients. And, you know, that looks different for everybody. It could be hot dinners, or it could just be, you know, freezable stuff that they would package away. Yeah, that's mainly what I do. And I got into this just because I love food. So
I can tell from your social feeds that you love food. Well, so we're going to talk about that for sure.
Oh, absolutely.
I wondered, how long has the business then been going? You said you were trying to get ahead in 2022. So
yes.
How long have you been doing this on your own?
So on my own, so I had the idea to sort of do private chefing as a side gig, like a side hustle in 2022. At that point, I was still pretty green in terms of cooking professionally. Like, how I got into this is I was a foodie for my entire life. I started cooking when I was in high school.
Really?
Yeah. My parents weren't really home, so I just started, tinkling with recipes or like trying stuff that they cooked that I liked.
Yes.
And that sort of led me to, when I went off to college, I moved to Toronto and I had a great foodie experience there because, there's a ton of diversity. I mean, there's so much good food there, right?
Yes.
So
French influence and
French,
immigrant influence.
I mean, like any country you want to eat,
any
cuisine really,
Yeah.
you can have in Toronto. I had my first Ethiopian food there.
Now, you didn't grow up in Canada.
Kind of. So
sort of?
I was born in Shanghai.
Okay.
And then I immigrated to Vancouver when I was like 5-ish.
All right.
And then I kind of grew up there. So
Okay.
I say grew up. I didn't really take a lot of the Vancouver influences. I learned English in the 10 years that I lived in Vancouver.
Yeah.
And then I moved to Pittsburgh.
Okay.
For my dad's job. So he brought all of us here. I went to high school at Pine Richland.
Okay.
And then after high school, I moved to Toronto to do my undergrad. And then that's where I sort of like really sparked that love of food and cooking. And, I would just in my free time, just try new recipes and whatnot. And that's sort of how I got to here, and then I had like a bit of a quarter life crisis. I didn't know what I wanted to do after I graduated. Came back here, started culinary school, worked in commercial kitchens, and then wasn't sure what I really wanted to do. So I was like, maybe I'll try this side hustle thing where I do some private events on whenever I have time. So I started my LLC. I didn't end up doing anything with it for about 2 years.
You were thinking on it.
Yeah. And like I worked weekends, right? I was an industry guy. So whenever I would have had business I was assigned.
You were already working.
Yeah, I was
those
already
times
working.
that you would have had a client.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I didn't end up doing anything with it until beginning of last year.
Well, I'm so glad you did.
Yeah, me too.
Let's go back to some of the current work for now. If someone does hire you and you said you're having like these like in-home experiences or even meal prep, I guess what I want to ask is like what you're known for or what you're most excited to cook right now. Are there some dishes that people request a lot or some things that you think of as some of your specialties?
Yeah, I mean, the thing that I'm always most excited to cook really is anything that I grew up eating that I find very like nostalgic.
Yeah, nostalgic is huge.
So a lot of like Chinese dishes that I grew up eating, it might not look the best, but I love doing like a big family dinner. Actually, I have on Saturday, I have a dinner. He wanted a really authentic, like at home Chinese cooked sort of meal experience cooking class. And so I get to pull out all my favorites. So, I mean, if there's any Chinese people listening, I'm sure they'll know some of these. One of my favorites is egg stir fried with tomato. I mean, it's super simple, but every Chinese person knows this, but you won't see this at restaurants.
No,
right?
I've heard this.
Yeah.
We've had another friend on, Hong Ching Chung, and this is her favorite dish.
Yep.
And she also said that a lot of families make it just a little differently too.
Everybody has like a little difference, but really at the end of the day, it's salt, sugar, tomato, egg.
Yes.
Maybe scallion. You know, it's 5 or 6 ingredients max.
And it's not really on a menu.
No, you never see it on a menu because it's not glamorous. You know, it's like...
But it's good.
Yeah, it's so good.
Yeah.
And then the other thing that I really, really love is like a braised pork belly that I do. Soy braised pork belly.
I feel like I've seen this on your feed. By the way.
I had a friend, they did a photo shoot for me. They're a wedding photographer, you know, shout out to Maya Lovro. We did a whole dinner. I did like, you know, chicken dish, a bunch of different dishes, and they did a really like nice professional photo shoot, and we just had a dinner afterwards. And I mean, that is just like my favorite thing to eat. I just can't have it too much because it's just pork belly.
Yeah.
You know? So you can't have that often.
Did I see on your site also, do you do a dumpling class?
I do, yeah.
Yeah.
So dumplings was a tradition that my family had. Every Chinese New Year, we would get together, maybe get some family friends together, or like I would invite some friends over, and we would just make hundreds of dumplings.
Yes.
And then we would throw them on sheet trays, put them in the freezer, bag them up in Ziploc bags, and we'll have our year's supply of like, I don't want to cook anything. Let me pull these dumplings out of the freezer, either boil them or steam them or fry them up. And that's, you know, it's a complete meal in itself.
Well, and then you had a party to have that dumpling moment. Many hands make, you know, quick work.
Oh, yeah.
And now you have all this delicious food for the rest of the year. So
Exactly.
I think that's like the perfect get together.
And I always send, you know, my friends home with a little bit. Or if they don't want to take anything home, they definitely get fed,
yes. You know. What are some of your favorite filling combinations for your dumplings?
I really enjoy, so in Chinese, there's a thing called 韭菜盒子, which is a Chinese chive box. But the filling is like vermicelli noodles, Chinese chive, and scrambled egg.
Okay.
And then it's really flavored. It's flavored super simply with 5-spice powder, white pepper, and then sometimes a little soy sauce. That one's really nice for my vegetarian friends or pescatarian friends. I'll switch out the egg for firm tofu, then I'll crumble if it's for like vegan or something like that. But my go-to is always a shiitake, pork, and cabbage filling.
Oh, yes.
Always. That
is a classic in my mind.
Classic. Yeah. I mean, we love pork.
Now, I'm also thinking on the website, you do have, keep me honest, is there a hot pot thing that you do?
Yeah. So again, these are all experiences that I pulled from things I used to do with my friends. And I think in Pittsburgh, there's not that many experiences. And for it to be at home is very different than if you go out to any hot pot restaurant.
Yes.
Not knocking the hot pot restaurants. They're great too. You have an amazing selection and it's always a great time. But at the end of the day, you know, I really enjoy the aspect of like sharing a meal together and in the comfort of your own home there's something really special about that. And when I was in college, I bought a hot pot set for myself after going out to hot pot enough times. I said, you know what, I'll just buy this. There's a lot of Asian stores around, so I could get all the meats, all the seafood, the vegetables, even like, you know, more exotic ingredients like duck's blood or, you know, organ meats and whatnot. And, you know, it'd be a great time. You get around family style, you do your hot pot and then drink a lot of alcohol and, you know, it's a great time.
That's perfect.
For people that, especially that haven't experienced hot pot, I feel like Yinzers, if nobody's ever had a hot pot experience and you don't have friends that have had that, it's almost really intimidating because there's so many things on the menu. You're not really sure how you're supposed to eat things. You don't know how to make a sauce because there's so many combinations. Everything is, you know, you help yourself, right? So I wanted to kind of ease people into it, and then so the next time they go, they can be like, "Oh yeah, you know, I've done this."
Right,
let me
in
see.
their own home too,
Exactly.
so it's a little more comfortable. You have me thinking, in case we do have some listeners that have no idea what a hot pot is, would you describe it sort of in easiest terms for you?
Yeah.
How you do it in someone's house.
How I would describe hot pot would be if you took the concept of fondue, but instead of cheese, you used different types of broths. So usually
they're boiling.
Yeah. So you have the broths simmering and you basically cook all your food table side. The meats will be super thinly sliced lamb, pork, beef, what different cuts.
And they cook really quickly.
They cook super quickly. Yeah. So basically you like dip it in there for about 10 seconds and then you make a little dipping sauce. Usually I like to go with like a peanut butter with soy, MSG, sugar, and scallions.
So
that's my go-to.
Yeah.
But the sesame paste, you can do just like a chili oil. But you basically like dip ingredients into hot soup and you eat that.
It's a fun time.
It's great.
Yeah.
I love it.
And I also wanted to just bring up, there's a Japanese term on the website, which I really love.
Yeah.
Can you recount that for me, please?
Yeah. So the basis of my business and how I want everybody to feel when they're working with me is a Japanese sense of hospitality called omotenashi, which I'm not Japanese. So, this might be a little bit off, but it's like hospitality wholehearted or wholehearted hospitality, which is basically, I want to make sure every little part of your experience is as good as I can make it. And in return, there's respect on both ends, right?
Yes.
The client hopefully feels the hospitality and is able to be, friendly and courteous. And then I want to make sure every single little detail is exactly how I would want.
Yeah, how you want to execute it and how you think they would want it. Right.
Yeah. I think the best example of omotenashi that is a good way to describe it for people is when you go to like an omakase, which is a prefix menu sushi where they give you piece by piece. In Japan, the sushi chefs will look at their customers and see, if it's a 250-pound man versus a 13-year-old, they'll make their pieces of sushi slightly smaller or slightly bigger so that it gives you the correct mouthfeel. It gives you the correct proportions to the person.
Interesting.
Almost but they don't say that, right? No. They don't advertise that. It's just something that they do.
Right. They're reading the room
exactly.
in the right way.
They're reading the room. They're making sure everybody's fed. You're not overstuffing someone who looks like they have a smaller appetite. And you're not leaving someone hungry because you keep all the pieces the same, right?
Interesting.
It's just like those little attentions to details that I think is really fascinating for me. And I really try to exemplify my business.
I really love that philosophy, kind of keeping that in the back of your mind when you're doing all these things. And your food looks beautiful, by the way, all the time.
Thank you.
Yeah. I do want to circle back. I don't want to just pigeon you into this cuisine that we've talked about so far. You kind of cook anything, right?
I do. Yeah. So I do really pride myself on being a jack of all trades.
Right.
Obviously I have my wheelhouse, which is East Asian flavors, traditional Chinese homestyle cooking. That being said, I really just love cooking things that people want to eat. So if that's a traditional steakhouse dinner with, garlic mashed potatoes, just like a nice ribeye, asparagus with béarnaise sauce, I'm classically trained, so I know
we can do that.
Yeah, we can do that.
Yeah.
Right? If that's what they want, absolutely, I can cook that for you.
Yeah.
But for the most people that reach out to me, they understand what my wheelhouse is. They know what kind of food I cook.
Yes.
And so I'll do, a dinner like that where it's familiar. If it's a steak entree or surf and turf or something like that, but I'll throw a little bit of a spin on it. So I'll use a gochujang glaze for scallops, or whether that's a chimichurri that I make with a little bit of fish sauce and chili crisp. So I like to throw a little bit of my flavors in there wherever I can.
I love all of this. And we're recording right before lunch. You're killing me right now. That's great. I do want to take a step back. You said that you started cooking as a teenager, but you have all this familial influence. So when you were a wee child, what was cooking like? Who was cooking for you? What was your first kind of kitchen experiences as a youngster?
So my first kitchen experiences was, from what I remember, going back to China when I was 4 or 5.
Yes.
I think the thing I remember was my grandma, who just recently passed away. Rest in peace.
Sorry to hear.
That's all right. She used to always make this sweet and sour pork rib, spare rib. But the Chinese style where you use soy and sugar and like rock sugar.
Yes.
And the Chinese black vinegar.
Yes.
To make the sweet and sour, not like the red Chinese restaurant one.
Mm-hmm.
And
which is Americanized.
but it's
it's
still good. Still good.
Yeah.
There's just different types. But that was one of my favorite dishes growing up.
Okay.
So that was my very first, like, what I remember.
Like a food moment.
Yeah.
That's really stuck with
that
you.
really stuck with me. The flavor of the thing, now I've managed to recreate it. It took some trial and error for the exact flavor that my grandma made.
Was there a recipe card?
Nope. There wasn't a recipe. I just remember the color, the consistency, and the flavor.
That taste.
But she had Alzheimer's or dementia for the last like 10 years, and all of my extended family live in China. Okay. So it's kind of hard to like talk to them and whatnot. I haven't really kept super close with my extended family once we moved out here. So I never got the chance to like really ask her for a recipe before. She kind of doesn't remember it, right? Yeah. But
you're keeping it alive.
Yeah,
you figured it all out.
Yeah. That's something that I really like doing too. Is like figuring out what something tastes like and recreating myself.
Yeah.
But that was my first food memory, and then growing up, the stir fried egg and tomato. We had like a tenderized pork chop braised dish with a bunch of onions that that my parents cooked.
Did both of your parents cook?
Yes. They kind of just always cook the same thing.
Oh, okay.
Which is fine.
Yeah, totally.
But if they tried to do anything else, at least my mom, it would be a little iffy.
Well, they knew their lane. They knew like what worked. They tried something that worked, and so they just kept doing it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I think a lot of home cooks get that 10 to 20 recipes they're really good at, and that's sort of where they stay for a long time. So I also like going back to what you said when you were more of like a latchkey kid left at home alone or whatever, and you started cooking and you started, I think you used the word tinkering, or I always say I fiddle. That's how I am with the recipe. I can't leave it alone.
Yeah. As a kid, I didn't do as much tinkering. It was sort of when I was like 23, 24.
Okay.
In Toronto, where it was very much like an ADHD thing where I didn't make a list, went out shopping, came back and forgot something. But it wouldn't be like an important thing.
Right. You can figure it out.
Right. And so I would just look in my pantry, which I normally had a pretty well-stocked pantry for like spices and ingredients. And I would make the switch out of necessity.
Yeah, on the fly. I mean, Ken, this is like the think for yourself cooking that I think a lot of people are just afraid.
It's tough. It's tough. I mean, I know exactly how people feel because when it comes to, so I'm not very handy, right? I'll use this as an analogy and I always try to empathize with people. But like when it comes to being handy, like even fixing a toilet seat, the first time I had to fix a toilet seat, even though I looked up YouTube tutorials and whatnot, it was so just overwhelming.
Yeah,
because
what you do.
You don't know what you like. If you could mess something up, you don't even know. Like you don't know the unknown. Right. And food is one of those things that there's so many different moving parts that it's tough for someone to not just follow a recipe exactly.
It's true.
All of my friends that cook, they follow the recipes exactly, which, there's nothing wrong with that.
No. But it's how you learn. And I think anyone that's taking on a recipe should follow it exactly at least the first time. And that's actually where I struggle. I'm like, okay, well, I think I want to do this.
Yeah.
But let's do the real thing first. And then I'll play with it.
Yeah. No, I had an ex who, we're still friends.
Yeah. Okay.
But whenever we used to try a recipe, she would always be like, we have to do this. We have to do this exact step. It has to be exactly 2 tablespoons. I'm like, and at that point, I already, I was pretty well versed in cooking. I was already cooking in kitchens. And I was like, you don't have to.
Yeah.
Like none of this stuff is a have to have this thing. We're not baking, right? That's different.
Yeah.
If you're baking, that's a science.
A little less science in the cooking.
Exactly. Yeah. You can kind of play around with it, taste as you go. That's how it is. Yeah.
Yeah. I love all that.
Hi, this is Chef Ken, and you're listening to The Pittsburgh Dish.
So you grew up in this sort of, Chinese yet Western cultured household, Vancouver, Canada. then to Pittsburgh, and then to Toronto for school.
Mm-hmm. And then back here.
But I think I noticed somewhere in your story, the Toronto wasn't for culinary school, right?
No. So
when did culinary school happen?
Culinary school happened when I was 24.
Is this your quarter life crisis?
Yeah, that was the quarter life crisis.
Okay.
So basically what happened was, long story short, I went to Toronto for university. I went to University of Toronto and I studied molecular biology and immunology.
My goodness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then after the degree, I learned that you can't do anything with the degree unless you go to like a master's program or a PhD program. And I liked it. I thought it was interesting, but I didn't love it enough to want to do more school.
Yeah.
I really didn't like school. And so what I did was I applied around to some jobs, having nothing on my resume. I wasn't qualified for anything, right? I did a single summer at a genomics lab. And, that's not really enough experience. And I didn't really love lab work either.
It wasn't your heart song.
Wasn't really.
No.
And so I went and just worked at different sales jobs for a year. I worked 3 separate sales jobs in 1 year. 2 of them I quit and 1 of them I got fired at. I was just really not good at it. Once I got let go from my last sales job, I said, you know what? I really don't want to do this. Finding this like traditional job. That entire time I was cooking.
Yeah.
All through school I was in front of house, so I served, bartended.
Okay.
So I went.
That was already in your veins.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
perking.
Hospitality was always present at some point.
Got it.
Right. As soon as I left for college when I was 18, the first job that I took was I was like a banquet server.
Okay. Yeah.
But yeah, so I basically finished that whole sales era of my life and went back to service. So I found a little neighborhood bar bistro. I beer tended there.
Yeah.
I call it that because all I did was pour beer. A little Irish pub that was down the street from me. So I went, I did brunch and I did like a couple days out of the week and, got to know a lot of the regulars. And that was really what sparked my love of hospitality. I always liked it. I always really enjoyed it. I've always enjoyed the process, like talking with the guests and everything. But when I got to see the regulars and the regulars were happy to see me, that was really when I decided, you know what? I'm good at this front of house thing. I want to try this work on formalizing my back of house experience.
Yeah.
And then that's when I decided I was going to move back here and go to culinary school. Went to PTC before they shut down.
Pittsburgh Technical College has had a culinary program.
Yes, they did.
Yes. Okay.
So I went there and I went there specifically just for the knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't really care about the degree or anything like that. I just wanted to know, because even then, right, even as a pretty established home cook, there are certain things that if someone doesn't show you in a professional sense, you don't know what result you're supposed to be achieving, right? If you ever make Espanol for the first time and nobody's ever told you this is what it's supposed to taste like, or you've never tasted it yourself, you have no idea if you did it right.
Right.
And so that was the main thing that I wanted to learn.
Get out of that experience.
Right. Like learn the stuff that was hard, and recipes online didn't exactly tell you how it's supposed to have tasted.
Right.
And then just kind of get an industry education in general. And then after that, I went and worked at the Rivers Club. I worked there for about 2.5 years. Did my rounds in the kitchen, garde manger,
got the different
grill,
stations.
saute, banquet. Did a lot of banquet cooking. I did a lot of the sauces. One special for the week, and then a different special every single day. 2 different soups every single day. I got a really good, well-rounded experience there.
Yeah, almost as good as probably the culinary training.
Yes.
And in this moment too, your confidence is probably boosting because you're learning all these things. This is how it goes. So how did you make the jump from, culinary working at the Rivers and that to what you're doing right now?
So even through culinary school, I wasn't totally sure I wanted to go through that whole restaurant system of like going from commis to line cook to sous chef to, to exec. I always knew it was a lot of work, a lot of physical breakdown of the body.
Yeah, a physical demanding.
It's absolutely physically demanding.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of respect for, the people that love the restaurant industry as that much to do that. But I wasn't really sure that was a path that I wanted to do. I just knew I wanted to cook. I wanted to give a hospitality experience. I wanted to, just working food in general. But I had sort of a big break in August of 2023. I had an opportunity to go be a personal chef, like a full-time personal chef for who I think is a billionaire.
Oh,
they had unlimited money, so I'd assume billionaire.
Yeah.
Basically, this Chinese billionaire was on his vacation in LA, and he was looking for a personal chef because his regular one wasn't available or something. He had his assistant posting like in WeChat circles, and my mom saw it, sent it to me, and somehow got me in touch with the assistant. And I was like, "What? This is crazy."
I don't never personal chefed before.
I have never done it before.
No.
And, at that point I was pretty well versed in kitchens and cooking commercially, but I had no personal chefing experience, right? I was creative, but I wasn't that creative. So they ended up flying me out for a week, got there and had the worst week of my entire adult life because it was just so demanding. I worked 14 hours a day. And I wasn't really quite sure of the expectations. The original expectation that I thought was he wanted breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And it would be, a different breakfast every single day. And then lunch would be, 3 courses. Dinner would be 3 courses. Turns out breakfast, he actually was a little bit easier. He actually wanted more of the same things every single day. Fresh cut fruit, oatmeal, sure. That wasn't too much of a problem. Lunch and dinner, though, he wanted a Michelin experience in his own home.
Wow.
Every single day. And that got me really stressed out because I spent probably 9 or 10 hours a day cooking and prepping and grocery shopping and cleaning. And then the other 4 hours, I would just be sitting on my laptop trying to figure out what I was going to make for the next day. Right. And so I made a 4-course lunch and a 5-course dinner every single day.
Oh my goodness.
Usually like some sort of salad, some sort of soup, a fish dish, a meat dish, and then a carb, like a pasta or something like that. Yeah. But he also had a lot of dietary restrictions in terms of everything had to be very mild. He wanted Japanese flavors. He wanted like really traditional Japanese style food where it was, simmered or like nothing too oily. Whenever he was on vacation, he basically wanted it to be a detox.
Wow.
Right? He wanted everything to be extremely healthy. He loves sashimi. So I got to learn how to break down a bunch of fish because I had to Google it.
And can I also just say, you didn't live in LA, so here you are.
I lived with the guy.
You flew out there, and you had to find all the places to procure all your food.
That was
like for the first time.
That was incredibly difficult.
Yeah.
But within about 2 weeks, I kind of figured out, where was the best place to get certain things. I would hit up a Whole Foods for most of the produce. Next to the Whole Foods was a farmer's market. It was in Hollywood. I can't remember the name of the farmer's market, but shout out. And then there was a fish market there that, they got to see me every single day. So we learned each other's names and, they hooked me up with like the freshest fish. Right. And then I also ordered from True World out there because I had a EIN at that point. Thank God I had an LLC, but I had an EIN. So I was able to establish a relationship with the supplier of sushi fish for a lot of Michelin restaurants. So they would just deliver to the house.
Wow.
So I was able to get, toro. I was able to get hamachi.
High grade.
Yeah, super high grade squid,
yeah.
Uni, like everything that he wanted, I could get.
Wow.
Right. So I learned how to break down a bunch of fish and, make sashimi. I'm not an expert still, but, I can at least cut pieces of sushi.
Yeah.
After week 1, they somehow liked me enough to keep me around. I guess I adjusted quickly enough.
Yeah.
After month 1, I had kind of gotten into a rhythm. And so I was making 9, 10 different menu items every single day, 7 days a week for about 3 months. And then after 3 months, I had to call it quits. It was just too much.
So intense.
I mean, I was working 14 hours a day, 7 days a week. Maybe I had an evening off here and there.
What a trial by fire
learning. Oh my gosh. Yeah. It was the most stressful yet productive time in my life because that trial by fire really, really got me good at what I'm doing now. And so when I came back to Pittsburgh, I took a 2-month sabbatical, decided that, you know what, I'm going to try to do this whole private chef thing because if I can do it for him, I can do it for everybody else here.
Right.
And I took that 2-month sabbatical and I went to like startup seminars because I don't know anything about entrepreneurship, right? And even now, I still don't really know a whole lot. I'm still kind of feeling it out, you know? Went to as many resources as I could, learned as much as I could about running a business, how to kind of, bookkeep and all that stuff, and formally started last year. And, here I am a year and a month later.
What a wild ride.
Yeah, crazy ride.
That is crazy. Oh. So now we fast forward to where you are. You've got your own business. Is this what you're doing?
Yeah, full-time now. Full-time.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah. I can't believe it's gone so well in the last year. I really was not expecting it to take off like this.
Well, you're doing it well.
Oh, thank you.
And you've put in the time to
I
know
definitely have put in time.
how to do it properly. But I think the other thing, you mentioned nostalgia earlier. You're also bringing things back from family along with this professional journey. And that combination, I think, is really what's lighting you up along with all the talent you have. So congrats.
Oh, thank you.
What is it now that you love the most out of all the things you're doing?
The amalgamation of that front of house experience where you get to see the guest happy and you make them happy because your effort goes into their experience. And also being able to be creative with the food that I cook with both, my influences and also their needs. The amalgamation of that is the thing that is really, really rewarding. So I do a lot of meal preps for my clients are a lot of times busy professionals or busy moms, with young kids, or, just work a lot in general. And I feel this too. When I get home, sometimes it's like, I don't even know what I want to eat. Sometimes my bar for food is very low. So when I get home, sometimes, I just find something and I eat it. But for those, for those clients of mine, I really, really enjoy that they're able to come home to a meal that they can heat up and it'll be exactly what they were looking for. Get their kids fed healthy instead of having chicken nuggets and fries every single night. Good whole ingredients, and just getting that feedback that I've been able to help out their life. That's the thing that's really, really rewarding to me.
Yeah. You were talking earlier about the back of the house, front of the house. You're the full house now.
Yeah, I guess I'm the full house
and
now.
You're making people's homes happier even when you're not there with some of the meal prep. So well done.
Yeah, thank you.
I have a question then for how things are going. It sounds like it's great. In the next few months or the year, are there any goals or events or any new things that you want to be trying to do with your business?
Well, having a full schedule thing is still relatively new. My business picked up halfway through last year, so I did a lot more private events and I got a few more regular clients. January, though, this year was when I started having a full schedule. So I do meal preps Sunday through Wednesday, and I usually have about 2 a day. And then Fridays and Saturdays, I'll have events at least twice a month, right? And so I've been just sort of adjusting to that.
Yeah.
And so
being so busy.
Yeah. I haven't really had a chance to look too forward, but I know something that I want to do is shout out if there's any young cooks that are looking to get into this sort of profession. I'm really looking to expand my business in a way that, because I'm still getting inquiries, even though my schedule is full.
Yes. You have to turn people away.
I have to turn people away, or I have to put them on a wait list. Yeah. Or, if their location is a little bit further out of the way, even if I have time, it doesn't make sense for me to drive an hour and a half from one client to another.
So you need a sous chef.
I do. I need. So I'm starting to look at I might need some help. But that's a slow process, because I'm still feeling out how I want to carry this business.
Right. And it's you got to balance it.
Yeah.
Right?
And I have to make sure, the big thing is I want to make sure if someone comes on, the training that I give them and the expectation is what I want it to be.
Right. You don't want to lower any of
absolutely not.
The level of the bar that you've set.
Yes. The bar can never be lowered.
That's so exciting for being so busy. Well, I do want to ask this anyway. I know you say you're busy and some folks are on a wait list, but I would love to remind folks, if they're interested in your food and they just want to find you and follow you, could you tell us your social handles and remind us of your website?
Yeah, so my website is kczcuisine.com. That's Kilo Charlie Zulu cuisine.com. I know, it all kind of sounds the same.
Yes.
And my socials are Ken, I believe it's Ken _ cooks food.
That's it. I looked it up. That's the little bit of research I did.
Sometimes I forget if I put the underscore in there or not. But so my Instagram handle is Ken _ cooks food. I need to do a better job of posting on my actual feed. But if you want to just kind of see what my day-to-day looks like, I post stories so you can kind of see the stuff I do for all my clients.
I would say I thought your feed is burning up. You're posting a lot on your feed.
Mostly on my stories, though.
Yeah,
because it's quick.
That's good. It works.
And then, on Facebook, same thing. I go by Chef Ken or Ken _ cooks food. Look me up on Google as well. If you look up Chef Ken or KCZ Cuisine, that's my Google page. It has all the reviews, so you can look through that if you're...
Yeah, you can read through.
Yeah.
If people really do want to try and book you, it's the website they should go to do the inquiry form, right?
Yeah. So go through the website. I'm getting my website redone soon, so it'll look a little bit different. Right now, it's a little bit wonky. I'm not a web designer. So, the best thing I can do through Squarespace is what I've done.
Yeah.
But you can always email me at ken@kczcuisine.com, or you can even just send me a text at 412-855-6073. That's just my personal cell number. Maybe later this year I'll get an actual business line. But yeah, feel free to text that for inquiries. I've had a return private events client that, I did like a elopement dinner in 5 days between him just texting me from a random number to having the event set up for 25 people.
Wow.
But
it all worked out.
They had a great time. And he booked me again for his friend's birthday party.
Oh, that's cool.
So, yeah.
You've got a lot of repeat business.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I like seeing the same people.
That's nice.
And giving people a different experience with the same person.
Well, it's back to getting those regulars from your, what you call it, beer tending experience.
Yeah. I mean, it's also a lot easier to work with regular clients because you only have to go through the discovery process once.
Yeah.
You figure out their allergies, their palate and whatnot, and you can just start creating delicious food specifically for them.
It makes total sense. All right, Ken, I always have a customary ending question. The name of the show is The Pittsburgh Dish. What's the best dish you had to eat this past week?
This past week? Ooh, that's a hard one. A lot of times I end up eating a recipe that I do for others. And one of the things that I really, really enjoyed this week was it's a doner.
Oh, like a doner kebab?
Yeah, like a doner kebab. So I got some lavash bread and ground beef, some spices, tomato paste, all that, grated onion, mix that in with the ground beef. And this actually came from like Reels or TikTok where you take a piece of parchment paper and you flatten the beef out.
Super flat.
Super flat.
Yeah.
And then you like roll it up a couple times and you bake it off in a really hot oven to try and get some browning.
Wow.
And then when you unroll it, you basically get the texture of a doner.
Yeah.
That obviously without the spit. So it's not quite as good, but the flavor is still great.
Get you there, yeah.
And it's really healthy, especially if you use like 90-10 lean beef. And then I, take the same tray that I had the beef done on, and I take whatever peppers, like it could be green peppers or Anaheim peppers, and I crank that oven up to like 550 with some tomatoes, and I roast those things off and make a really simple toum with garlic. Basically, it's just like a garlic oil emulsion. Yeah.
It looks like
little bit of lettuce.
Doesn't it look like mayo?
It looks like mayo,
but it's garlic.
But it's raw garlic, so it's real punchy.
Very
punchy. A little bit of lemon juice. It's really assertive, but it works so well with all the strong flavors in there.
Yes,
and the cumin and the tomato, and then a little bit of lettuce, and I just do a little wrap, and it's really nice meal prep.
It sounds like the best bite this week.
It is absolutely the best bite this week.
Chef Ken, it's been such a pleasure to get to know you. Thank you so much for your time today. And thanks for being on the Pittsburgh Dish.
Yeah, thanks, Doug, for having me here. This was such a fun experience. My very first podcast ever.
Oh.
So thank you for inviting me.
Of course. If you enjoyed the show, consider buying us a coffee for this episode or supporting the show monthly. You can find links to those options at the bottom of our show description. And if you want to follow my own food adventures, you can find me on social media at Doug Cooking. That's our show for this week. Thanks again to all of our guests and contributors, and to Kevin Selecki of Carnegie Accordion Company for providing the music to our show. We'll be back again next week with another fresh episode. Stay tuned.